Hi Year 10, welcome to your second Flipping the Classroom video. And tonight, rather than using ScreenChomp, I'm using my iPad to film this on Steve's MacBook Pro. I know, I'm so tech savvy. Okay, tonight we're going to start with the first of our two practitioners, Bertolt Brecht. Look at this guy, what a hipster. I'll zoom in on his face so you can have a little look. Those glasses, oy vey, he's amazing. Okay. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Brecht was born in 1898 in Germany and passed away in 1956. Okay, he was one of the most influential figures of 20th century theatre, and some argue that he was the most significant practitioner since World War II. If you talk to any actor, director, dramaturg, or indeed dramaturg, they will probably list Brecht in their top 5 of most influential practitioners. If you look at the time that he was alive, so he lived through the First World War, he lived through Weimar Germany, and then he lived through the rise of Nazism, okay? Had to flee Germany during that time, obviously because the Nazis weren't massive fans of Marxists and people that spoke out against them. And of course, then he passed away right at the beginning of the Cold War, okay? So, Brecht was operating in a time where theatre was realistic, okay? Stanislavski had really drummed up a lot of support for naturalistic theatre and living and showing real emotion on stage. Brecht hated it. He thought that realistic theatre was like a drug to the audience and a total waste of theatre makers' time having that audience there if they weren't going to take something away or some message away with them when they left. Okay, think of that quote from the other day. He likened theatre of realistic theatre or naturalistic theatre as a place where audiences left their brains as well as their hats at the door. Okay, he wrote over 50 plays, and his form of theatre is often known as epic theatre. His techniques were, some of the most famous ones, of course, were Gestus and the forever hard to say Verfremdungseffekt. But for the sake of anyone using it in class, and if you're talking to anybody outside of class, you just say the V effect, okay? He used these techniques to awaken the audience and to enable them to consider the overarching political message of his work. What a dude. Okay, let's start with epic theatre. Okay, so this is Brecht's term for what theatre should be. It's the idea for it was that it should sharply contrast realism and melodrama, which used illusion and emotional engagement and escapism. He wanted to motivate his audience, okay, to think and to act. His plays were intended to really enliven his audience, so they walked out and wanted to go and march on Government House, okay? He wanted the audience to be observers or spectators, and this is a common theme in all political theatre, you'll see when we study Boal. And he wanted them to constantly make judgments about what was happening on stage, okay? The reason why it's epic was because his plays often spanned over a long period of time. You think of epic poems, such as the Iliad and the Odyssey, okay? Brecht's theatre was often like that, and they would take place over sort of 50 to 100 years. They were often episodic, and so each scene, or as he referred to them, episodes, would really be encapsulated within itself, okay? Each focused on a significant theme or issue and often went with or without certain characters, okay? Sometimes he could even, I suppose, Tarantino it up, or Tarantino Brechts it up, and switch the linear plot line around a little bit, okay? Brecht always wished to present a story from many different viewpoints. He likened it to 10 different people witnessing the same car accident. The retelling of the story is always going to be different from each person that witnessed it. So that's a brief intro to epic theatre. Next up, we have the Verfremdungseffekt. Okay, it's often referred to as the alienation effect, and it's more accurately translated to the effect that makes things seem strange or different. Okay, so there's a lot of dramatic devices that Brecht used to alienate his audience. It aims to... What it essentially does is he wants his audience to never be put in that comfortable position whilst watching what's going on in stage. He wants to distance the audience emotionally, and he uses a number of different techniques to shock them out of the lull that they get into. Okay, this theory suggests that when something is presented in a surprising or unexpected manner, we see it in a new light. Okay, so Brecht wanted his audience to awaken at witnessing what was taking place on stage through the V effect. Okay, so Brecht gives the example of a child whose widowed mother remarries, seeing her as a wife for the first time rather than just his mother, which can be quite strange, I suppose, if you think about when you see your parents and they might have remarried. It's a different light in which you see your parents, and some might argue that it can be slightly alienating. Okay, next one. What did he want from his actors? Okay, so he wanted them to always remember that they're an actor portraying another's emotions, feelings, and experiences. It's never about them living them. Okay, so there should be a shallowness to, for want of a better word, to the actor's emotions on stage. Okay, an actor only quotes an actor. He never forgets, nor does he allow anyone to forget that he is not the one whose action is being demonstrated, but the one who demonstrates it. And he must never forget that he is performing to an audience, that he is telling the public things through his role. So this is a lovely little quote by Brecht. And finally, for today's film, two other techniques were his use of gestus and song. Okay, so gestus is a theatrical technique that helps to define the emotion within a character and the context that they are in. It is the combination of gesture and social meaning into one movement, and it's used to reveal the thematic ideas of the play and the significance of the scene. So, if you see a guy eating a sandwich and he gets attacked by a dog, that's not gestus. If you see a guy sitting outside Parliament House eating a sandwich and a guard dog from Parliament House comes over and attacks him with the security guards from Government House looking on and laughing, that's gestus. Okay, song and music. Brecht often felt that music in epic theatre should provoke thought, dispel illusion, and drive out emotion. So music and song were not used to create more emotion in a scene. They were used to, I suppose, alienate further. Imagine a death scene or something very stark happening, and upbeat music might be played and an upbeat song might come on just to shock the audience out of its lull, okay, or its emotional connection with what's happening. Okay, so this is a really great, you can use song as a really great example of the Verfremdungseffect. Okay, and that, I think, is it for today's flipped classroom. I've gone for 8 minutes 37. I'm really sorry, but remember, you're only going to have to watch this one and one other this week, and I'll make the next one really short. Okay, guys, see you tomorrow. Make sure you whisk, watch, summarise, and come up with a question to put up in class. Thanks.